Hello there, Aries. Thank you so much for being with me today. What we are doing is the November in-depth tarot forecast. I am going to break this down into 4 different time frames. The first time frame that we're going to be looking at for you guys is the 1st through the 7th. So the first week of November, basically. It's interesting that the first few days actually fall into a week straight up off the bat. I like that. That makes breaking up this month easy for me. Let's put down your cards for the 1st through the 7th and see what comes up for you, Aries. Okay, let's see what's going on. We're going to start with your environment. Now, your environment is any place where you have energy or effort. Usually it does show up as home, but sometimes it'll show up as work or some other place. So you want to just kind of keep your mind open as you're hearing about what's going on for your environment for November the 1st through the 7th. And it looks to me like I think you are setting up a situation where you're feeling like you are secure by yourself in your own environment, and it looks to me like you are sort of keeping up boundaries with somebody from the past in that environment. So I feel like you're on your own, you're single for most of you. Very much independent, setting boundaries from somebody from the past and not necessarily letting them come into your environment, not allowing them to come in and influence. And it's interesting because this person from the past that we're talking about is somebody that you have good memories with. This isn't somebody that you're sorry to hear from. But at the same time, I still feel like you're holding those boundaries of not letting them really into your environment. And for some of you, I feel like we're talking about a more personal environment than what I usually see in these readings. For some of you, we're talking about your energy, your energetic environment, your aura. Yeah, because it's really interesting. It would be more common to see you holding a boundary between yourself and somebody who is from the past that you're not happy to see. This is somebody that you're happy to see. This is somebody you have memories with, and yet you're keeping that boundary up. Kind of interesting, Aries. La da 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 da. By the way, guys, these are general. If you have more specific questions that you would like to have answered for yourself, the best way to do that is to get a private reading where I can focus on just your energy instead of the energy of all the Aries that are watching this video. What are we looking at next? We're looking at subconscious leanings. Okay. What's going on here? It looks like you're detaching, or you're feeling detached from somebody because there's something that you haven't told them, some kind of secret that you've kept from them, or something that maybe even you have told them something different than the truth about, and sort of let them have that wrong idea. And so you're detaching from this person because I think that you feel like if you were not detached from this person, that they could find some very creative ways to pay you back if you were to come clean with the truth. This may tie in with the boundaries between you and this person and your environment, that you're not having this person into your environment because it looks to me like in your subconscious, you're kind of chewing on this idea of, what if this other person is so upset about these things that I haven't told them, that they um, do things that would keep me from moving forward or hold me back. Okay? So that's what we've got going on in your subconscious leanings. Let's look at two different things. We're going to look at learning style and also communication style out of this next set of cards here. So let's take a peek. You are really able to pick up information quickly. It's like once you get a foundation of information set, then you're adding to that more and more quickly because you're really enthusiastic about learning something new during this time frame. And I think that what you're focusing on when it comes to the things that you're learning is you're focusing on those things that you really enjoy, that you really have this hunger to learn about. Okay? La da 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 da. And I think you're also focusing a little bit on learning about some type of recreation or something that you can do during the off time. You're finding new information for things like that as well. Now, looking at communication style during this time frame. Definitely there is some communication going on here that has to do with money, or negotiations around money is one of the things that I'm seeing coming up. There's also talk about changes that would need to be made, or changes. I almost feel like somebody is talking to you about, they're basically giving you some kind of ultimatum, Aries. You know, if you want to move forward with this thing, with this deal, with this relationship, with this project, with whatever it is, these are the changes that need to be made. And so there's some talk around changes that need to be made to move something forward during this time frame as well. And there is also some talk about setting roots, or really grounding. For some of you, you may be talking about family and the people that you consider you know, the roots, anchors in your life. And so there is talk about continuing to put down roots, or about things that have to do with family during this time frame. Okay. Next thing that we're looking at is work. And so for me, you guys know work is two things. It's what you actually do to make a living or to feel productive in the community. And the other way it comes in is what you're doing to improve your own self, to make you more happy with who you are. So as far as work, it looks like you're pretty happy with what you're doing right now. It looks like whatever you're doing right now is actually helping you to get over some kind of disappointment from the past. And it also looks like you have a lot of options when it comes to work. So you may be receiving different job offers during this time, or if you're an independent contractor, you know, you may be being contacted by several people who are potential clients. So it looks like you have lots of opportunities when it comes to work, and you love what you're doing, and it also is helping you to get past any kind of disappointments of the past. So maybe if you weren't able to work there for a while, this may be what you're doing now, maybe help play catch up on some bills, or the work that you're doing could just very much be work that allows you to do some inner healing as you're going through your day-to-day duties. Okay, so that's enough about work. Let's look at inner work. So inner work has to do with the idea that you've been angry at yourself, or sort of holding a grudge with yourself over something that you've done in the past. And you are learning to let that go and find appreciation for yourself. And as you're letting that thing from the past go that you did that you're not so happy with for yourself, I think you're also looking at, okay, well, what are the options now? What's on the table now? What can I do now? Okay. La da 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 da. Next thing we're looking at is that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now as we go through this particular time frame. Keep in mind every time I say right now, I am talking about the date in the corner of the screen here. So, la da da da, growing or expanding. So Aries, it looks like you're having a fight with somebody, an argument, a debate, and it looks like having this fight, putting these things out on the table and actually having this debate, I think that you are finding this very satisfying. So this is probably something that you've been waiting for the opportunity to actually say. You've been waiting for the opportunity to let somebody know, I don't appreciate this, or, whatever. And so this fight is something that actually helps you to feel satisfied after what seems to me a long time of kind of just swallowing whatever this person was doing and not complaining, not saying anything. And after having this fight with this person that actually is satisfying to have, I see that you're able to really move forward and to put energy into more productive things as you move forward. To me, it comes up as this had to happen to clear the air so that you could move forward from where you were. That if this fight never happened, then that relationship would stay in a stagnant place. So even though we normally try to avoid fights, it looks to me like what was said in this one was necessary. Maybe you and this other person are actually having what someone would consider a healthy fight, where you're communicating in a healthy way and getting things on the table that need to be on the table. I do feel like there are some things that have been suppressed for a while that you're actually able to get out during this confrontation. Okay? And it brings satisfaction and helps you move forward productively. La da da da. Next thing that we're looking at is those things that you stand for. So this is something that somebody during this time frame is going to be saying to you, well, why did you choose this? Or why are you doing this? And this is something that you're going to stand up for, or you're going to defend. Okay? So it looks like there was a commitment or a contract that you had made in the past that in the past you had walked away from. And you had just decided no more, not going to participate in this contract anymore. And it looks to me like during this time from November 1st through the 7th, you're coming back to that commitment or the contract. And it's like, I think you're asking for a redo. And I think that as you're coming back, there is a little bit of idea here of not being so thrilled about the idea of coming back. You may be feeling nervous about coming back to this because you did walk away. You may be wondering, well, how is this person going to take it if I show back up? Or how is that client going to take it if I say, oh, well, I can do this now even though I couldn't before? So there is a little bit of a trepidation here as you come back to this. But I see quite strongly you coming back to this old contract or this old commitment or this old agreement, moving back to that. And I think somebody is, saying something to you about, well, why are you going back to that? And you're having to stand up for yourself for this decision. You're having to explain why you're going back to this. Now, how is this other person seeing you? This other person really is seeing you as coming back into the situation, putting energy or effort back into the situation, maybe even finances back into the situation. Instead of healing. It looks like they're seeing you as you could have done some healing around this situation, but you chose away from that. You chose to put more energy and more effort into this situation where you had this trepidation about going back. They're seeing you as like you have invested enough in this old situation that now as you're going back to it, you were released from it. You were away from it. And now you're going back to it and you're walking away from your own healing. Because this was a situation that you could have been healing from, but instead you walked away and then walked back to it. That's how this other person is seeing you. Okay. So that I would really love to dig into that more deeply. If somebody wants a private reading around that, I think that would be a fantastic idea. I'm not going to dig into it deeply here in a general read, because I think what comes up in the general read is the best for the whole conglomerate. That way I can give you a message that's going to apply to as many of you as possible. But sometimes it would be nice to be able to go more specific, but I feel like if I go more specific in a general read, then I start making it not apply to some people and it only applies to a few. So if you want something more specific, you want to get a private reading where I can look at just your energies. Okay? Now, let's look at what's happening during your flex time in this time frame. Your flex time is where things start to change direction for you. Okay? So we have something showing up here. It looks to me like there's something coming out to you. There's a truth coming out to you that you weren't aware of before. It might have even been right under your nose, but you still weren't able to see it. It wasn't right at the surface. And this is about somebody in your life who is a very productive person, a very nurturing and encouraging person. And the truth comes out that the relationship that you have with this person is not over yet, Aries. And so the way that this shows up, I think you firmly believed that this situation was totally, completely done over. And the secret that comes out is that it's not over. I see this coming. The interactions between you and this person are going to be coming back to life again, between you and this very nurturing, uplifting person. All right. At the same time that we have that happening, we've got a really great grouping of cards right next to this. So at the same time that we see that happening, we see you feeling like, this is so good, and you're feeling really secure, and things are moving forward quite well for you, Aries, during this time. What else is happening? It's almost like there's another energy that sort of shows up on the scene here, another person. So whoever this is that your interactions are not over with anymore, I feel like your sense of security and things going well, all of that is kind of tied in with that person. But then when I look at this last grouping for your flex time, we've got something going on with somebody else who is really not happy about what's going on with you and this other person. And they actually may be pretty angry and upset about this. And it looks to me like they are definitely expressing that to you. And they're trying to draw you back into something that is toxic, that has been holding you back and dragging you down. And so it's like they look and they see that you are happy. You're in a happy situation that's positive and moving forward. And they're saying, oh, no, we can't have that. We can't have that, Aries. We can't have you happy moving forward, not being with me. Come back. Come back to this toxic situation where you weren't happy and where you weren't able to move forward and where I was dragging you down. Come back, Aries. They are really working on you to get you to come back. And they may be very much using some emotional and mental manipulation in the words that they're saying to you during this time frame. All right, so that potentially could cause a little turmoil, I guess, Aries, depending on how seriously you're taking this other person that was such a negative influence on you. All right, now let's look at what's happening at the end of this time frame. Well, hello there, me kitty. Hi. Okay, so at the end of this time frame, what we have... I think that you are working on doing some kind of problem solving here. You're trying to get things settled down in your life. You want to have some peace in your life. You're trying to make everybody happy. But at the same time, I think that you're also looking at this from a logical standpoint, and you're realizing that there isn't really an option here that allows everybody to be happy. And I think that that is bumming you out, because you come across as somebody who, at this point at least, you're really wanting to have peace in the world and calm and have everybody be on a good page with each other. And as you're realizing that that's just not going to happen in this situation, I think this has you feeling a little bit sad. Sad and lost is kind of what I'm hearing. So this may be confusing to you, like, okay, who am I going to make happy now? Am I going to make me happy? Am I going to make the other person that I was interacting with and things were going well happy? Am I going to make the toxic person happy? Because, you know, wouldn't it be nice if they were happy and they weren't giving me grief all the time? So, you know, you have this this conundrum in front of you about what are you actually going to do. And I think you're trying to think it through. The more you think it through, the more I think you're getting depressed, because you're not finding the solution of how to make everybody happy and on the same page here. Okay, so that's the time frame from November the 1st through the 7th. We'll come back and we'll take a look at the next one here in a few minutes, but I am going to take a little bit of a break first, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for being here. Welcome back, Aries. This time we're looking at November the 8th through the 14th to see what kind of energies come up for you, what's going to be going on in your world. How are you going to be dealing with it, interacting with it? All kinds of good stuff. Let's see what shows up for you. Okie dokie, Aries, during this time frame, looking at your environment, what we have is that your environment is close to your ideal, but not exactly your ideal. I do see a lot of happiness around your environment, and there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of openness, a lot of open discussion and talking, communication, possibly even plan making. But the environment is not exactly ideal. Very close though, and with all this happiness, it looks like it's very enjoyable. So I'm happy to see that for you guys. Next thing that we have coming up talks to me about your subconscious leanings. Subconscious leanings. It looks like there's something going on where you're having a lot of communication, Aries, And the communication has to do with some kind of partnership, probably romantic, judging from these cards, although it doesn't have to be. It could be about a business partnership, but I really have to say I'm leaning more towards a romantic type thing, or at least a personal type thing. So family relationship, friendship, something like that that's more personal. And in your subconscious, there is somebody that you do have feelings for, that you care about greatly. And you guys are not really on the same page right now. And I think you're really confused about why you aren't on the same page if you like this person so much. And I think that your subconscious is working that out. Like, okay, what's going on here? And how do I make that better? How do I resolve that? Next thing that we have coming up talks to me about two different things. First of all, learning style, and secondly, communication style. So once again, for your learning style, we do see that you're learning about things that you're interested in, where your curiosity is drawing you, and it looks like that type of information is coming to you pretty easily. La da da da. I also feel like you're doing some esoteric work, so you may be getting in touch with your intuitive side, or getting in touch with ways that you have of communicating with Sacred Spirit to find some of the information that you're looking at right now. And then there's other information that I feel like you're just reinforcing, that you already know, but you're just reinforcing. You're finding, that this is, you're just making sure that things are still what you think they are around those types of topics, okay? This could even be refresher classes or continuing out of some kind for some of you. Now, looking at communication style. We have a lot of purple when I'm looking at your communication style right now, which just means there's a lot of communication that has to do with spiritual topics, or maybe that you're communicating in spiritual ways. So it may be that you're actually communicating with somebody who has crossed over, or you're communicating about spiritual topics like this. Once again, I do see you talking about changes. We had that last time frame as well. And it seems to me like this is not so specific a changes as we saw earlier. This could be talking about changes in community or changes in neighborhood, something like that. And then there's also communication about adding strength, adding stability showing up. So this can be financial, and this can also be in relationship, either way, but talking about adding strength or adding stability. Are you okay over there, buddy? I don't know if you guys heard this little cat meow. This is my roommate's cat, but she hangs out with me a lot. Let's see. What's next for you guys? What is next for you guys? Alrighty, so Aries, next thing that we're looking at talks to me about work. Work is two things. It's that way that we make a living or feel productive in the community, but it's also what we do to make us happier with who we are as individuals. Hello there, buddy. Okay, so whenever we look at work, what do we have coming up here? There are definitely some unknowns showing up around work for you this time, Aries. It seems like there's somebody who you're working with who is really moody and can change the goals. They can change the targets. They can be really hard to please. And I think that you are, because of this person being moody and changing goals and changing targets, I think that this is making you feel like you don't really know what's expected of you at work. And it's making it hard for you to actually meet those goals or targets and feel like you're doing well at work. And so we've definitely got some things going on there that are less than happiness making. Looking at inner work. What I'm seeing here is that there is a lot of things in the subconscious that have to do with women, or possibly even with mother figures, And this has to do with the idea of feeling like at certain points in your life, and maybe way back, when you depended on a mother or a mother figure, where you felt like you weren't nurtured, and where you felt like instead of receiving nurturing, you received something that was more coming from a more moody or erratic type of place back during that time. And so the inner work has to do with the idea of reconciling the past so that you can, create a more smooth future with the women who are in your life in the present and going forward in the future, Aries. That's pretty deep. That's pretty deep inner work. All right, let's look next at that part of your personality which is growing or expanding right now. Excuse me. It looks like there's some kind of situation that you have. There's something here that has disappointed you, and you want to find a solution to the situation, but you're feeling stuck because you don't know how to change it or how to make it better or what it would take to actually make this better. And so the problem here is that you're feeling like you're short on options. You just don't see the options in front of you that you could take, make use of to improve this situation. And so where you're growing or expanding is in this idea of figuring out how you're going to handle this situation. If the options are limited, then what are the options that you're going to work with to make this into a situation that doesn't feel so disappointing after all? Or do you even stay in this situation? Do you find a different situation? Okay, next thing that we're looking at talks to me about those things that you stand for, Aries. And so, what do we have? It looks like there's somebody that you felt really inspired by. I think that when you met them, they made you feel inspired, and you felt like there could be, there was this spark between the two of you, but now there's no communication going on between the two of you, and you're missing them. And I think that you're standing up for yourself in this idea of, well, why are you missing this person so much? You didn't even know them that long. Because I really don't think that you did, the way these cards show up. And so you're having to defend yourself for the feelings that you have. How the other person is seeing you. They're seeing you as somebody who is very encouraging, very uplifting, somebody who knows how to use creativity to solve problems. And they're seeing you as somebody who does not dwell in the pity parties, but instead looks for opportunities when things come at you in a disappointing way. So they see you as moving forward even if there's been disappointments. And it looks to me like they're seeing that you have moved forward during a time that had been preceded by disappointments, and that you really sort of let down your guard and made yourself vulnerable. You showed your true personality to somebody around you. That's how they're seeing you. Okay. Next thing that we're looking at has to do with the flex point during this time frame. And so the flex point is when things sort of start to go a little bit of a different direction for you than what they have been. So what we're seeing here, what we have here, my friends, this seems to me like there's a lot of frustration happening here. You're not sure how to move forward with something that you really want to manifest or to bring into being in your sphere of influence. And it looks like you're getting, you're getting messages from other people that are saying, well, this way just isn't possible, or, there are messages that basically say, well, I know you've been thinking of this, but this isn't going to be able to happen, and so you're finding yourself feeling pretty stuck, like you just don't know how to move forward and make those things happen that you're working on, that you want to bring into existence in your experience. At the same time that all of this is happening, it looks like you are officially letting go of somebody, and officially letting go of something that maybe had offered you some financial security, but for some of you, this is going to be actually getting a divorce. This is going to be the divorce, where the divorce becomes official and final for some of you. But for others of you, this is the idea of just officially letting go of some kind of cooperative, collaborative you were working on with somebody else who seems to be pretty well grounded and very tangibly oriented in the 3D. So officially letting go of something at the same time that you just don't know how to manifest something else. What else is going on during this time frame? We do see you coming into collaboration with somebody else. And it's interesting because I feel like as you're coming into this other collaboration, you know that it's toxic. And you're not even happy about coming into this collaboration, and yet I still see you doing it. I'm not quite sure what the thinking is there or what the logic is there. That would definitely be something to get a specific reading on for those of you Aries who are able to relate to this and resonate with this, and maybe look at, what's your best move in a particular situation there, so that you don't end up making a decision that you may regret later. So where we see you at the end of this week, we do see you coming to the conclusion or making a decision at the end of this week about whether you want to be in a situation that is reciprocal, where there's give and take, or whether you want to be alone. You're deciding which one is going to be better for you right now. Whether you want to be in a reciprocal relationship or whether you just want to spend some time alone getting to know yourself better. Okay? So that's what we have for you. Let me go ahead and shut this off for a few minutes, and I'll come back, and then we'll look at our next time frame. Thanks for being here, Aries. See you in a minute. Hello there, Aries. Welcome back. We are looking this time at November 15th through the 21st to see what shows up for you, what kind of energies you're interacting in and with. See what we can find. Keep in mind this is a general reading, so not everything I see will apply here to every single Aries who watches this video, but most of it will apply to most of you. If you would like to have a specific reading where I look at your particular energies, then what you want to do is you want to book a private reading with me, and you can see how to do that on the website at the bottom of this screen. I also do 1 and 2 question readings. If you just have 1 or 2 questions, you can see how to book those at the bottom of this, on the website at the bottom of this screen as well. Okay, your cards are on the table, Aries. Let's see what we have coming up for you this time. We are looking at environment. There's some type of waiting going on in your environment right now. It looks to me like you're collaborating with somebody else, and I think that you and whoever this is that you're collaborating with, you are both actually waiting for what would this actually be? I think you're actually waiting for things to get easier. You're expecting that there's gonna come a time where things are easier than what they are right now. So I think you're collaborating with somebody else, maybe combining resources. Both of you, it looks like, are together waiting for something to get better. I get the sense that you're combining resources because it's beneficial to both of you, and I get the sense also that both of you are expecting that, each of you as individuals, you're expecting that your own situations are going to get better moving forward to where you won't have to collaborate. But for right now, collaborating, waiting for things to get better is what I'm seeing in the environment, okay? So probably sharing with an environment with somebody to sort of make things work for the moment. Aries. Looking next at your subconscious leanings. What do we have here? There's been some kind of sudden surprise or sudden shakeup. And it's interesting because I think that this sudden surprise or sudden shakeup has made it so that you can actually put money back, stash money away, which is kind of the opposite of what you would expect from a sudden surprise or sudden shakeup, but you've been able to do that. And so it's interesting. Before the surprise or shakeup, you have a situation that you knew had to change anyway, and it wasn't changing. This surprise or this shakeup, you know, kind of pushed this, it forced this into making that change, forced that situation into a change. And now, because of that forced change, now you're able to actually stash some money away for the future. And your subconscious is really working on this and really processing everything that's just happened and all the implications that has for you right now. The next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style, Aries. So with your learning style, Aries, I kind of hate to say it, but I think that during this time frame you may be sort of cherry picking your information that you learn, and you may have your ears closed to hear some other things that might be important to you, but you're just not open to hearing or to receiving that information. So you're sort of cherry picking some of the information that you're actually learning right now. I also feel like there is some way in which music plays a role in what you're learning at this point in life. Not sure how that is, but it seems like a lot of fun. And then the other thing we have coming up is that you are learning about some things that are complicated and that have many moving parts. And you are learning, not so sure you're learning how to manage that as much as you're learning at this point just what all the complicated parts are and how they all fit together. Okay, so that's learning style. Communication style. Once again, I see cherry picking here. I think you're telling people what you want people to know and you're holding back on what you don't want them to know. You may be highlighting information that is especially good to get out to other people, and then just holding back on things that you're just not ready to share yet. You just don't want to share. Also in communication style, what do we have here? I think there's a lot of spiritual type communication, things where you're basically sending vibes off is the best, easiest way I know to put it, in an uncomplicated way, where you're sending vibes off to other people. And then I do see also there's a lot of passion that shows up in your communication style too. And I don't get like passionate, angry, like, you know, passionate debates, passionate arguments. Some of your communication styles could be very easily in how you're expressing yourself to somebody who you think of intimately in a very passionate way. Okay? So that is learning and communication style Aries. Let's look next at work for this time frame. And now this is going to be work that first we'll look at outside work, how you make a living, and then we'll look at inside work, which is what you're doing to make you happier with who you are. So outside work, many of you may be working in some type of healing field, nursing, reiki, medicine of any field. That doesn't have to be true for all of you, but I feel like there's quite a few of you that are working in that field. Ba ba da da ba 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 da da. If you're not working in a healing field, I do feel like work is becoming more routine, more normal than what it has been for a while. It's getting a nice, even, harmonious flow to it, which I don't know that it's had for a while for you, Aries. It sort of comes up that it's recovering from, your work is recovering from a really tough situation that you've been going through as far as work-wise. And I don't think that it's just been you. I think it's been everybody in your workplace has been going through this, facing this together. And it looks like things are looking up. So as you're getting into more of a routine, things are starting to recover at work, basically. And there's also an energy of acceptance, of accepting. What I'm hearing is accepting the new normal. So this doesn't mean that you're accepting the craziness that you've been going through lately as normal, but you're coming into, during this time frame, November 15th through the 21st, you're coming into a time frame of a new normal here, where you're finding that balance. You guys are finding that unification and that team, and figuring out what needs to be done, when and by who, and really coming to the acceptance that things aren't going back to the way they used to be. This is the new normal, and I think coming to that point of, and it's okay. All right. As far as inner work, there is some kind of great loss or sadness that you have been combating. I wanted to say dealing with. Spirit gave me the word combating in the recent past. And you are coming out of that. You're coming into this place of acceptance. You're coming into this place of healing. You're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, that just because you were really sad about this does not mean that the world has ended or that the world is over. Okay? Now, next thing that we have coming up here talks to me about that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded as you go through this particular time frame. So what do we have? So it looks like you have a situation that just is not going to work out. Okay? And I think that this makes you very dissatisfied, frustrated that it's not going to work out. But at the same time, once again, we're seeing some kind of acceptance here, kind of like we did in the work situation. We're seeing you come to the point that you have accepted that it's not going to work out, and now you're not putting energy and effort into that. You're not trying to make that work out anymore. You've sort of realized that to put energy and effort into that is like throwing energy and effort into a black hole right now. And so now you've backed off of that. And you're finding places that are more productive, put your energy and effort. And I think those will be coming up. But at least for right now, the action is to pull back from that. All right, next thing we're looking at is those things that you stand for. You're getting your own inner balance. You're getting your own mojo back as an individual, as a person. It looks like you're coming out of some kind of contract or agreement. You may be coming out of some kind of lifetime partnership or marriage. And you may have stepped back from that. And as you've been stepping back from that, you've been feeling really ungrounded, and like your whole idea of security is really turned on its head. And so what you're standing up for right now is the idea that you're finding your balance, you're finding your mojo, in spite of what you think of security having been turned on its head, and in spite of coming out of this situation that you thought was going to last a lifetime. Next thing we have coming up for you, Aries. This talks to me about how somebody, whoever talked to you about this situation, how they perceive you now. They're seeing you as somebody who is really still learning about life and starting to become more logical about the way that you look at things and see through things, and especially when it comes to responsibilities, that you're getting to be somebody who thinks things through a little bit more before jumping into responsibilities, that you're not just jumping blind. You're kind of surveying the area before you jump. You're not going to make any blind leaps and then regret it, you know. All right. Next thing that we have coming up is what's going on during your flex point during this time, Aries. This is where things sort of start to change direction for you a little bit. What we have here is a situation where I think you're walking away from something that you're viewing as complete. You have done everything that you set out to do in this situation. You've done as much as you can, and I think you're recognizing that this situation is over and complete. I think that you have been in this situation partially to reach a goal, and I think that goal has been reached. But now as you're walking away from this situation, there's no communication anymore further, which makes me, a lot of times when we reach a goal, it kind of helps us to build on to the next goal, to build on to the next thing. The fact that there's no communication here makes me feel like this is something that was just ended, not something that was put in place to be built upon later. At the same time that you're walking away from the completion of this situation and there's no more communication there, I feel like that this is really, even though you're walking away, I feel like this is really disappointing for you. I think that you thought this was going to be an ideal situation, but what you're seeing is that things are not working out in a fair way. Maybe this other person is not making judgments in a fair way, and you're not getting a fair shake here. And so because of that, you're walking away and you're not doing any more communication with the situation because things are not working in a way that makes sense. And I think you're having a hard time dealing with working with something that doesn't make sense. Also going on at the same time, yeah, stepping back, taking a break. Taking a break. And it looks like as you're taking a break from the situation that makes you sad to walk away from because you thought at one point that it was ideal, now you're seeing that it's just over. So as you're taking a break from that, doing some healing from that, it looks to me like you are looking to see if there's somebody out there who will let you start interacting with them or let you back into their lives again. Somebody that you want to come to with the truth, and you want to tell them the truth about something that you haven't gotten to before. And it looks to me like you're feeling like if they open up the doors to and allow you to share the real deal, that they may be doing this kind of um, against their own intuition, or against, they may feel like they're doing this against their better judgment. But I feel like you're really wanting to, you're wanting to be able to communicate with this other person when there's no more communication going on in an old situation. All right. And I do feel like the other person is somebody from the deeper past. Somebody that you're going back to communicate. Okay? So, Aries, where do we see you at the end of this time frame? Right here, we're seeing that you've got a lot of scattered energy. You're not having a very easy time focusing or figuring out what it is you even want to focus on. There's a lot of opportunity in front of you, but you're having a hard time figuring out what opportunity is best for you. And it looks to me like where you've tried to work on something, it just hasn't worked out the way that you wanted it to. And so you're feeling like you need to put in a little bit more security in your life some way. Like where things didn't work out before, you need to find some way to bring security into your life, because you're feeling like security is really at a low right now for you as far as how you feel about your place in the world. And so you're having a hard time focusing on where you really want to focus, basically. And I think that's part of why you're not feeling very secure, is because you don't have anything that you know you want to focus on moving forward. Okay, so that's where we see you at the end of this time frame. I'm going to take another little break and come back, and then we'll look at the last part of November. See you soon. Okay, Aries, we are back, and this time we're looking at November 22nd through the 30th to see what kind of energy shows up for you during this particular time frame. Just putting a nice shuffle on the cards before we start laying them down. Thank you for being here. Do appreciate it. Thank you also to those of you putting thumbs ups on this video and sharing this video with others who may find it beneficial. And of course, thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings and private Reiki sessions from me, either or. It is because of you guys' support at every single level that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. Those of you who like these videos, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Excuse me. Okay, Aries, let's start with your environment. Any place where you have energy or effort invested. Looks like you are manifesting an environment. This is a new environment for you, and you are putting in energy and effort and really actually working on this environment. This could be a new work environment for you, or it could be a new environment that would be a home environment where you're putting a lot of work into it to make it your own, or maybe it just needs a lot of work, period, to make it livable. But your environment, you're definitely putting a lot of work and effort into it. You're making it exactly what you want it to be, and this is something that is a new environment to you, or there's some, at the very least, there's some aspect about it that's new, but I think it's a new environment for you. Next thing that we're looking at, Aries, is subconscious leanings. Looks like you have some kind of new partnership going on, Aries, whenever I'm looking at your subconscious leanings, and this could be a business partnership. I would tend to put it more in the personal partnership. Yeah, just because of the cards that are showing up with this. So I think we are talking about more in a personal area, and it looks to me like you have begun a new relationship or possibly re-begun an old relationship, but definitely there's somebody who is a partner to you who you guys are on the same page and doing very well. What's going on the side, though, is that there's also somebody who is really jealous and expressing that jealousy in a way that you can't miss. What I'm not sure about here with this particular card combination is if this jealousy is somebody who is jealous that is jealous because you've moved on to somebody you're happy with, or if it's somebody with the other party that's jealous because they've moved on to somebody they're happy with. But it looks like there's somebody outside the partnership that is jealous about this new partnership that you formed with somebody here. And this is what's in your subconscious is, how do I don't want to cope with that. I don't think you even want to cope with it. I don't think you want to deal with the drama. I think really you're looking at how do I get rid of this drama, okay? The next thing that we have showing up here talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style, Aries. So, learning style. I think you're actually finding out some things just through debating with other people about situations during this time frame. There is also a lot that you're learning directly from spirit or from your own intuition, maybe in meditation. And I think you're actually learning a lot too from looking at nature or studying nature or being in nature. There's something here about Mother Earth and nature that you're learning something from here. Now, la da 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 da, communication style. I do think, Aries, that you have a lot of communication going on during this time frame between the 22nd to the 30th. I think a lot of this communication could be very fiery, full of feeling and passion, enthusiasm. Excuse me. And I think there's somebody that you're talking to, Aries, that you are definitely making sure that you're being very clear with them, but at the same time you're also presenting something to them in an attractive way. You want to whatever you're saying to them comes off in an attractive way to them so that they will want to be on board with whatever this idea or this plan is of yours that you're presenting to them. All right. Next thing that we're looking at has to do with you guys' work. So we'll look at outer work first, which is how you make a living or feel productive in the community, and then we'll look at inner work, which has to do with what you do to make yourself more happy with who you are. Outer work first. For some of you, I feel like you may be collecting a last paycheck from somebody during this time frame. And I feel like that may be because you are moving on to a different location or a different job. But for some of you, for some of you, I do feel like this could be the day when it could be the time frame when you receive your last paycheck from an employer that you're moving on from. I do see that you have lots of feelers out about the next place. There's lots of communication about the next place that you could work at. I'm not so sure that you've got a backup place already in line as you leave the other place, but I do feel like you've got lots of resumes out there, you've got interviews set up, you've got things in motion towards getting you into that next position. But it looks to me like there's just something that's going on where you are working at the beginning of this time frame that you just feel like there's nothing that's going to make this better, and it's sort of an insurmountable type of rift. Okay, so that's for outer work during this time frame. La da 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 da. Inner work. Inner work does have to do with nurturing yourself and finding time to nurture yourself. I feel like there's a lot of communication going on between yourself and other people, and that is distracting you from taking care of yourself during this time frame. So you do want to keep that balance and make sure that you are still taking care of yourself, even as you're out there putting the word out that you're looking for a position and all of that good stuff as well. La da 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 da. Next thing we're looking at talks to me about that part of your personality that's being grown or expanded as you go through this particular time frame. Wow. Okay, so Aries, I think that you are finding ways to express yourself. For some of you, this is just you really opening up to people that you haven't opened up to in the past. For others of you, you may be writing music or poetry or journaling. But I really have a whole lot of communication, possibly in a written form, showing up here. And I think that you're finding a lot of action in this. So this tells me you may be doing your own therapy work or your own healing work through journaling here, or your own therapy through songwriting or poetry or story writing. But I think that whatever this is, however you're creatively expressing yourself here during this time frame, it is bringing a lot of satisfaction and happiness. Next thing we're looking at are those things that you stand for during this particular time frame. So it looks like there has been some type of truth that has sort of come to the surface. And I think it's at the beginning of this time frame, within the first 3 days, some kind of truth that comes to the surface. And I feel like when this truth came to the surface, I feel like it disappointed you. It made you feel disappointed. Aries, it's interesting how this comes up to me because it makes me feel like, it almost makes me feel like there was a situation, Aries, where you were disappointed with somebody who was in your sphere of influence in the past, and now this truth has come up that you didn't realize before. Not that it wasn't right in front of you, but that you didn't realize because you were looking through the lens of your own experiences. And I think that the sense that I get here is that you're disappointed that you didn't see this and understand this truth before. And so I'm going to really encourage you as I'm looking at this. Yes, it's good to learn the lessons from the past and carry them forward so we don't make the same mistakes again. It's not good to beat ourselves up. So I would say learn the lesson, carry it forward, but don't beat yourself up over this, Aries. Let it be whatever it's going to be. And just know that you learned something from that experience. So that is something that I think you've had to, I think for a lot of you, maybe you've had to defend yourself from your own thoughts there, but you may have also had to defend yourself from somebody else as well. Possibly. To me, it really feels a lot more like you're giving your own self-esteem a good beat up here over this. So, you know, if you catch yourself in that energy, try to pull yourself out pretty quick. It's not very productive. All right? So how other people are perceiving you right now, they're seeing you as somebody who is a go-getter, who gets things done, who accomplishes things. They're seeing you as, when you feel disappointed, they're seeing you as somebody who can turn that around, who can turn that situation around from a disappointment to a success. And so they're seeing you as somebody who can take action and make things better. whenever you're talking to them about this thing that you're mad at yourself about. They don't see this as a done deal, actually. They see this as, okay, well, this is something that this person's going to fix. They expect you to fix it. And I think they feel that way because they've sort of always seen you fix things as soon as you realize there was a problem before. Okay? So the next thing that I'm looking at has to do with flex time during this time frame, or your flex events, things where things start to go a little bit of a different direction during this particular time frame. We do see a lot of happiness showing up here for you, Aries, and that happiness is because you're putting some energy and some effort into a particular thing, where before you might have had energy scattered. You might have been paying attention to more than one situation, or more than one person, or more than one project, and now you're able to focus in on what it is that you really want to prioritize and pay attention to. And so as you are cutting out those other things that are less important, that you don't want to spend time and attention and focus on, you're getting a lot of happiness from the energy and effort that you are focusing on in this consolidated space. Whether it's now you're focusing on one person romantically, now you're focusing on one project, financially, whatever it is, you're getting a lot of happiness from not having the energy scattered and trying to maintain more than one and keep all those plates in the air. You're getting a lot of happiness from being able to just really focus and work on that one situation or person or thing or creation. What's going on at the same time here? It looks like there may be a couple of people in your sphere of influence right now, Aries, who are not very happy. And when I say right now, that does mean the dates in the corner of the screen. A couple of people who are not very happy with you right now. Having a hard time focusing and moving forward for themselves. And it looks to me like that is because you have decided to focus on one thing and move forward. And so as you're focusing on this one thing and moving forward, there are a couple of people who are feeling like they've been pushed to the side and they're not important. And so, yeah, they're not very happy at this moment. I don't actually come up with them as angry, but as more de-energized, having a hard time staying energized and focusing on the things they need to focus on. At the same time that this is happening, I gotta say, Aries, this really smacks of love. It may not be, doesn't have to be, but it does really smack of it to me. And it looks to me like the person that you're focusing on is somebody who does have a lot of options. They have a lot of different people interested in them as well. And I think by your focusing on building a relationship with this person, you're really doing well. You're able to actually build that relationship with this person. I think this person is kind of, even though they have a lot of different options around them, I think what they're looking for is someone who is going to seriously put in the time and the energy and the effort to actually build a relationship, and not somebody who's going to take it for granted that it's just going to be easy and all fall into place. And so I think that whoever this is that you've chosen to focus on and to make a priority, I think that they're really appreciating that and that it's going really well. They still have options circling around them, but I don't see where any of those options are anything that this person is viewing as better than you. I think they're viewing you as the top of the heap there. King of the hill, so to speak. All right, so where do we see you at the end of this particular time frame, Aries? I think you have prior to where I'm seeing you now. You have sort of held yourself back. You've sort of waited to see how things would pan out, where they would go. And very deliberately, I think that this was a plan. And you were doing that because you wanted to have clarity. You wanted to understand how things would go. And when we get to the end of this time frame, I see you deciding that, you know what, it's time to make a commitment. It's time to nail this thing down. And so that's what we see you doing once we get to the end of the month of November. So there you go, Aries. I hope that you find this helpful. Those of you who would like to get private readings for more information or expansion on some of the things that came up, or just general clarity for different things in your life, I would be honored if you would choose me to read for you. Thank you to those of you who have been here and listened. Thank you for the thumbs ups and for sharing this video with others that you think it possibly could help. Also, thank you to those of you getting private readings and Reiki sessions from me. It is because of all of you guys' support at every single level that I am able to do what I love to do for my living. So thank you very, very, very much.